Bob Hope and Bing Crosby were more than just two of the biggest stars of their era. They were cultural icons who defined American entertainment through the 1930s to the 1950s. Their friendship and professional partnership became legendary, a golden era duo whose names often appeared side by side in movies, radio shows, and live performances. But beneath the polished image of camaraderie lay a complicated relationship few really understood. Their story begins in the early days of Hollywood, when both were climbing the ranks as entertainers. Bing Crosby, with his smooth baritone voice and laid-back charm, quickly became one of the most popular crooners of his generation. Bob Hope, known for his quick wit and impeccable comedic timing, was carving out a niche as a leading comedian. Together, they seemed like a perfect match, Crosby's relaxed style balanced by Hope's sharp humor. The pair first teamed up on radio shows in the late 1930s, and audiences loved it. Their chemistry was undeniable, mixing Crosby's soothing vocals with Hope's punchlines. Soon, Hollywood studios took notice. They starred in a series of road movies starting in 1940, beginning with Road to Singapore, which became instant hits. These films were a blend of comedy, music, and adventure that captivated audiences during World War II and beyond. Their collaborations continued to bring box office success and massive fan followings. It was hard to imagine two stars working more seamlessly. They toured together, entertained troops overseas during the war, and even shared TV specials later on. Fans adored them, and the press painted their friendship as a heartwarming partnership between two good friends who had made it big together. Yet, even at this stage, small cracks were starting to show. Industry insiders whispered that their partnership, while lucrative, wasn't always as easy as it looked. The public saw two friends enjoying the spotlight, but behind the scenes, there were occasional clashes over creative control and billing order. Hope and Crosby had very different personalities. Crosby was laid back and focused on a singing career, while Hope was ambitious and driven, eager to expand into different entertainment areas. Despite these differences, they kept their professional relationship intact, knowing the magic they created was worth more than any personal squabble. For years, it seemed their friendship was rock solid. To fans, they were an unbeatable team, two legends who had the perfect balance of charm, talent, and humor. But as with many high-profile friendships, especially in Hollywood, what's visible on the surface doesn't always tell the whole story. The years would reveal tensions and conflicts that shook this iconic duo, ultimately leading to a surprising and bitter fallout. What started as a friendship forged in shared success began to unravel, leaving questions about what really went wrong between Bob Hope and Bing Crosby. And what happened next would shock everyone who thought they knew the truth about these two legends. While Bob Hope and Bing Crosby appeared to be the perfect Hollywood duo on the surface, their relationship was far from flawless. Beneath the public smiles and shared spotlight, a rivalry quietly brewed, one fueled by competition, jealousy, and clashing personalities. For decades, fans and even many insiders believed their partnership was just a little playful rivalry, the kind that keeps a friendship interesting. But as more stories have come to light, it's clear that this was something deeper and darker. In the entertainment world, competition is part of the game. Both Hope and Crosby were not only stars but also savvy businessmen, deeply aware of their own careers and status. Bing Crosby's smooth, effortless singing style won him millions of adoring fans, while Bob Hope's relentless humor made him a favorite among those who loved to laugh. On paper, their skills complemented each other perfectly, but in reality, there was an ongoing battle for who was a bigger star and who commanded the real power. From the start, there were moments that hinted at underlying tension. On set, Crosby was known to have a more laid-back, even aloof approach, focusing on his music and often keeping his distance from the constant hustle. Hope, on the other hand, thrived on the spotlight, hungry to be the center of attention. This difference sometimes led to friction. Crew members and writers from their joint projects recalled a certain unease between the two, especially when it came to who got top billing or more screen time. Rumors from the era suggest that Hope felt overshadowed by Crosby's effortless charm. Despite being the comic genius of the pair, Hope sometimes resented that Crosby's smooth voice and relaxed demeanor made him appear more like the star, even when Hope was delivering the laughs that defined their films. It wasn't just about ego. It was about control and respect in a fiercely competitive industry. Some of the most intriguing stories come from their time working on the road pictures. Though these films were beloved by fans, behind the scenes, tensions were mounting. Reports suggest that Crosby was difficult to work with, often rehearsing solo and keeping others at arm's length. Hope, known for his quick wit, reportedly made sharp remarks in response, creating a cold atmosphere on set. The friendly banter the public enjoyed was, in reality, a thin veneer masking growing bitterness. Outside of work, the rivalry extended into their personal lives. They moved in similar circles, but there was an unspoken distance between them. Both men had huge social followings, but Hope's circle was tighter and more exclusive, while Crosby preferred a more relaxed lifestyle. This difference only deepened the divide. Still, despite all these subtle conflicts, they kept up appearances for decades. Their joint project continued, and the world still saw a dynamic duo. But this surface-level rivalry was just the beginning of something far more explosive. A secret feud that would only fully reveal itself years later. And what came next in their story would expose cracks nobody expected, shaking up the legend of their friendship forever. For decades, the world assumed Bob Hope and Bing Crosby's rivalry was nothing more than a typical Hollywood competition. Two stars jostling for fame and spotlight. But recent insider accounts and uncovered stories reveal something far more intense, even bitter, that redefines everything we thought about their relationship. The truth behind why Bob Hope utterly hated Bing Crosby is finally coming to light, and it's more shocking than anyone imagined. Behind closed doors, Hope's disdain wasn't just professional jealousy. It was deeply personal. According to sources close to the late comedian and interviews with people who worked with both men, Hope's frustration boiled down to a feeling of betrayal and manipulation by Crosby. It's said that Crosby's laid-back charm masked a calculating, sometimes ruthless personality, one that clashed harshly with Hope's straightforward, hard-working nature. One of the most surprising revelations centers around business dealings. While the public saw two friends co-starring and sharing success, behind the scenes Crosby was reportedly making moves that undermined Hope's financial interests. In one particularly telling story, Crosby allegedly pushed for contract terms and created control that heavily favored himself, leaving Hope with less influence and lower earnings. This wasn't just a minor annoyance. It struck at Hope's pride and security in an era when control over one's work was crucial. But business wasn't the whole story. There were also deep personal grievances that festered over years. Some insiders say Crosby could be cold and dismissive, often belittling Hope during private moments or taking credit for ideas that weren't his. Friends of Hope described the comedian as quietly furious but unwilling to publicly confront Crosby, fearing it might damage his career. This bottled-up resentment eventually grew into outright hatred. Adding fuel to the fire were rumors that Crosby's relationships with women and his personal life sometimes caused public embarrassment for Hope, who was known for his family-friendly image. Whispered stories of Crosby's questionable behavior in Hollywood's social scene reportedly put Hope in difficult positions, forcing to choose between loyalty and self-preservation. Perhaps most striking is the revelation that the friendship between Hope and Crosby was never as mutual as it seemed. While Hope considered Crosby a true rival and sometimes enemy, Crosby reportedly viewed Hope as a convenient comedic sidekick, someone to keep around for laughs and appearances, but never quite an equal. This unbalanced dynamic chipped away at any genuine affection Hope might have felt. All these elements combined into a perfect storm of bitterness. Over time, Hope's animosity grew from quiet irritation to open contempt behind closed doors. Yet, they maintained a professional front for decades, a public performance of friendship, even as private feelings were anything but friendly. This shocking revelation changes how we see not just Hope and Crosby, but the glitzy Hollywood world itself. A place where smiles can hide ruthless ambition and friendships can crumble under the weight of secrets and lies. But the story doesn't end here. What happened when this tension finally boiled over? The next chapter reveals the moments that pushed their rivalry into the spotlight, leaving scars that shaped their legacies forever. The bitter rivalry between Bob Hope and Bing Crosby wasn't just simmering beneath the surface. It exploded in moments that those closest to them would never forget. These behind-the-scenes conflicts revealed just how fragile their partnership really was, and how the tension shaped the atmosphere on set and off. One infamous incident took place during the filming of one of their road pictures. According to crew members, a simple disagreement about a line quickly escalated into a heated argument. Crosby, known for his perfectionism, insisted on a change that Hope felt undermined his comedic timing. What started as a creative clash soon turned personal. Reports say Hope stormed off the set, furious, while Crosby remained cold and unyielding. This wasn't an isolated event. It was a clear sign their working relationship was cracking. Another major flashpoint came during a live radio broadcast. Both men had performed a scripted comedy bit, but Crosby reportedly refused to rehearse with Hope, opting to work solo backstage. Hope was left scrambling, feeling abandoned and disrespected in front of millions of listeners. Behind the microphone, their banter felt forced, lacking the natural spark fans adored. Insiders said this incident marked a turning point, a public moment where their hidden tension became visible to those paying attention. Beyond the professional disagreements, there were also stories of cold treatment and exclusion. Hope was often left out of private gatherings or business meetings Crosby attended, signaling a growing divide. This wasn't just about ego. It was a calculated move by Crosby to assert dominance in their partnership. Hope, who valued loyalty and camaraderie, found this exclusion deeply hurtful and frustrating. Some of the most damaging conflicts revolved around business decisions. When contract negotiations came up, Crosby's team reportedly pushed for clauses that limited Hope's creative input and cut into his share profits. Hope, who had always been hands-on with his projects, saw this as a betrayal. Friends close to Hope recall how he confided in them about feeling used and manipulated, a man who had given years to a partnership that no longer felt equal. Their personal lives added another layer to the strain. Crosby's womanizing reputation caused more than one awkward situation for Hope, who maintained a squeaky clean public image. It said that Hope often found himself cleaning up the fallout from Crosby's scandals or distancing himself to avoid bad press. This created resentment, as Hope felt forced to protect himself at Crosby's expense. All these moments, the arguments, the cold shoulders, the business betrayals, built up a wall between them that was impossible to tear down. Despite their public appearances, their partnership had become a minefield of unspoken grudges and mistrust. Still, the show went on. Their films continued to draw audiences, and their names remained linked in Hollywood history. But behind every laugh, every shared spotlight, there was an undercurrent of tension that cast a shadow over their legacy. What these conflicts reveal is not just a story of two men clashing, but a glimpse into the cutthroat world of show business, where friendships are fragile and the price of fame is often steep. And yet, even after all this, there was one final chapter to their story, one that would leave a lasting impact on both their careers and how they were remembered. The long-hidden feud between Bob Hope and Bing Crosby didn't just stay behind closed doors. It rippled through their careers and forever altered how fans in Hollywood viewed them. Though their rivalry was carefully kept under wraps for decades, the impact on their legacies is undeniable. Both men left an enormous mark on entertainment history. Hope was celebrated as the king of comedy, a tireless entertainer with an unmatched knack for timing and charm. Crosby's smooth voice and relaxed style made him one of the best-selling singers of all time, a cultural icon whose influence shaped modern pop music. Together, they created moments that still resonate today. But knowing the bitter tension beneath their friendship changes how we see those moments. What once looked like effortless chemistry now feels laced with underlying resentment. Some film historians and critics suggest their rivalry fueled their performances, driving Hope to deliver sharper jokes, and Crosby to maintain his cool demeanor despite mounting frustration. The tension added an unexpected edge to their on-screen personas. Yet, their feud also cast a shadow on their off-screen reputations. Industry insiders have shared that many colleagues knew about the Cold War between the two, often feeling caught in the middle. This rivalry sometimes made collaboration difficult, leading to strained relationships with producers, writers, and fellow actors who witnessed the tension firsthand. The entertainment world isn't known for forgiving cracks in high-profile partnerships, and their conflict became a cautionary tale. In the years after their prime, as their careers slowed and new stars emerged, the legacy of their feud lingered. Biographies, interviews, and documentaries began to reveal the truth, challenging the sanitized stories the public had accepted for so long. Fans were surprised to learn the warmth and friendship they'd admired was, at times, a facade masking deep bitterness. For Bob Hope, the fallout meant guarding his image carefully. He continued to entertain troops and appear on television, but those close to him say he rarely spoke about Crosby without a sharp edge. Bing Crosby's legacy, meanwhile, became more complicated as rumors of his coldness and manipulation surfaced alongside praise for his talent. Today, their names still shine brightly, but the story of their feud added a layer of complexity, a reminder that even legends have flaws and friendships in Hollywood can be far from perfect. It raises questions about how much of the magic was genuine and how much was carefully crafted for the audience. Their rivalry also highlights a broader truth about fame. Behind the glamour, there can be bitterness, betrayal, and loneliness. Bob Hope and Bing Crosby's story isn't just about two men. It's a window into the high stakes and hidden struggles of show business itself. But despite the bitterness, their films and music continue to entertain new generations, proving that even the most complicated friendships can leave a lasting mark. What remains unknown, though, is whether either man ever truly found peace with the other before the curtain finally fell on their lives. The feud between Bob Hope and Bing Crosby didn't simply fizzle out quietly. It left scars that lasted long after the camera stopped rolling and the applause faded. Though the world largely saw their partnership as a legendary friendship behind the scenes, the fallout shaped not only their personal lives, but also their final years and how history remembers them. One of the most telling consequences was the emotional toll it took on Bob Hope. Friends and family later revealed that Hope harbored deep resentment toward Crosby, bitterness that lingered for decades. He rarely spoke openly about the rivalry, but those close to him knew the feud haunted him. It was a source of private frustration, a reminder of how trust and respect could be shattered even between the closest of colleagues. This bitterness reportedly affected Hope's health and his ability to fully enjoy his later life, as the weight of past betrayals stayed with him. For Crosby, the consequences were somewhat different, but no less significant. His public image as the easygoing crooner was complicated by whispers of his coldness and ruthless streak. While fans loved his music and charisma, Hollywood insiders saw a man whose ambitions sometimes crossed into manipulation. Crosby's personal life, already subject to rumors and scandals, added fuel to the fire, making it harder for him to maintain a flawless reputation. Their feud also influenced how others in Hollywood viewed partnerships and friendships. The story became a cautionary tale about the dangers of mixing business with personal relationships. Producers and studios reportedly became more cautious about pairing stars with complicated histories, wary that behind-the-scenes drama could derail projects. The Hope-Crosby conflict revealed the fragile balance between cooperation and competition in the entertainment industry. Perhaps the most tragic consequence was the unresolved nature of their conflict. Despite decades of shared success and countless opportunities, there was never a public reconciliation. Even in their later years, as they aged and faced their own mortality, the bitterness remained. Some close associates say that neither man was willing or able to bridge the gap. The feud was left to simmer, a quiet but persistent wound. This unresolved tension shaped their final legacies. Fans and historians alike wonder how different things might have been if the two had managed to find common ground. Would their later collaborations have been more joyful Could Hollywood have remembered them as not just rivals but true friends? The story of Bob Hope and Bing Crosby's feud reminds us that behind the glamour and laughter, the human side of fame is messy and complicated. It shows how even the brightest stars can be shadowed by bitterness and regret. As viewers today enjoy their timeless movies and music, it's worth remembering the complex lives behind the legends, the friendships that weren't always friendly, the smiles that sometimes had pain, and the secrets that only time would reveal. In the end, the story of Hope and Crosby isn't just about hatred or rivalry. It's about the fragile nature of trust and the high price of fame. The story of Bob Hope and Bing Crosby is a reminder that even the most iconic friendships can hide deep tensions. What looked like a perfect partnership, a duo that brought joy and laughter to millions, was in reality layered with rivalry, resentment, and unmet expectations. The truth behind why Bob Hope utterly hated Bing Crosby challenges the nostalgic image many hold and offers a fascinating glimpse into realities of fame. Their tale isn't just about two men who clashed. It's a story about the complexity of human relationships under pressure, about how fame can magnify insecurities and mistrust. Hope and Crosby were both incredibly talented, but their different personalities and ambitions made their partnership a fragile balancing act. What fans saw on screen was often just the tip of a much larger iceberg, beneath which lay silent struggles and unspoken grievances. This revelation changes how we view their work together. The laughter they generated, the chemistry that felt so natural. It was sometimes forged in the fire of their conflict. Their rivalry added tension and energy, but also came at a cost. Emotional strain, broken trust, and a friendship that never fully healed. Beyond the personal drama, their story sheds light on the harsh realities of Hollywood, a world where success often demands sacrifice and where personal relationships can be casualties of ambition and competition. It's a cautionary tale about the price of fame and the loneliness that can accompany it. But despite all the bitterness and hidden battles, Hope and Crosby's legacy remains powerful. Their films continue to entertain, their songs still echo in popular culture, and their names are forever linked as two of the most influential entertainers of the 20th century. Their story reminds us that even flawed relationships can create unforgettable moments. As we look back, we're left with the question, can true friendship survive in the harsh spotlight of fame? Hope and Crosby's story suggests a struggle, a delicate dance between admiration and rivalry, love and resentment. For viewers, this story is a reminder to look beyond the surface, to understand that every legend has a human side with flaws, regrets, and complexities. It's these imperfections that often make their stories all the more compelling. If there's one takeaway from this tale, it's that behind every public persona is a private story, often far messier and more intriguing than we realize. And sometimes, the most fascinating stories aren't just about the successes, but the struggles that shape them. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Hollywood's most complicated friendships, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that uncover the truths behind the legends.